harkens to that moment with the kids on the cement kind of in the lobby of the sports dome after Hurricane Katrina. And that song, every word is like in my blood and bones. And this person I haven't met yet, and he's singing to the crowd this the song, and it was like, ooh, whoa, and it was just like, whoa, it was so weird and awesome. Though it was awesome, it was exciting. And so that was really cool. But then what happened is he started singing it all around kind of the globe, and we'd see it. But then he took the song to someone who is now a dear friend of ours, Peggy Callahan. And Peggy Callahan was a co-founder of Free the Slaves. And Free the Slaves is an organization in the world right now that is fighting against modern slavery. And we came to learn that there's some 35 million slaves in the world today. And that even proportionately to population, there's more slaves than ever have been before, which I could not believe. And Jason brought her this freedom song and said, you have to hear this. And she listened and she said, this is our theme song. I'm going to bring this song to a shelter in Ghana for recently freed boy slaves, specifically boys that would they would get enslaved into working in the a lake in Ghana, maybe a lot more. I don't know if I have the facts right, but they would either get purchased from their family or lied to their family that they're coming to work for a little bit, and then they would be a slave of these fishermen, and they'd have to go down into dangerous waters to grab the nets and all this stuff. And Free the Slaves started freeing as many of these boys as they could, these boys and young men. And they brought this song, the freedom song, from the kids and I in the shelter in Baton Rouge after Hurricane Katrina. They brought it over there, and the song became this group of like 35 boys. I don't know if I have the number right. It was their life song, their theme song. They would sing it, freedom, oh. And we're talking even down to a little 6-year-old that can barely, maybe he was a little younger. Peggy told me about this one kid that could barely pronounce it. We go, freedom. And I didn't know any of this. And then Jason started to tell me a little bit about it, and he sent me an email one day. And I was having a band practice with the band we'd created, Luc and the Lovingtons. And I came home at midnight, and I opened up my computer, and there was a message from Jason from Ghana. And I clicked on it, and it was him walking up with Peggy Callahan and this group of like 20, 25 former slaves, young boys, and their teacher, and they were singing the freedom song word for word to the end.
We've got some life to celebrate. We've got some joy in this thing. Come on, we really want to feel our song. We've got some life to celebrate. We've got some joy in this thing. I heard the freedom song a couple of months ago, and it was a song by a young man, Luc Reynaud, who traveled to Baton Rouge shortly after Hurricane Katrina, and he wrote this freedom song with children in a shelter. And the song moved me, the story moved me, and I found this on MySpace, and the story said, please take this song and share it with the world, it needs to be heard. And then I met the good people at Free the Slaves. I said, you guys got to hear this freedom song, it just really fits with the work that you're doing. Of course, Free the Slaves shared the freedom song with the kids here at Challenging Heights.
Sunset on the beach, yeah.
And I had nothing to do with it. We get out of the van, and the kids and their teacher are singing it note for note, every word, every lick, every nuance, singing the freedom song. Come on along. I know you really want to hear our song. We've got some life to bring. And I noticed these kids are saying we've got a light to bring. We've got some joy in this thing.
Come on, we wanna feel that song. We got some life to bring. We got some joy in this thing.
To hear these kids sing of freedom when here in this place might actually be the first time these kids are ever knowing what freedom really is. You know, they're being oriented in and introduced to freedom itself, the real deal.
To feel good. And when I feel good, I sing. The joy it brings.
It just shows me what the power of music can do. And I salute Luc for writing a terrific song and wanting to share it with the world, wanting to give it away. And I sent him a text last night. I said, man, I just heard 20 former child slaves sing your song note for note. And he wrote me back. He's like, it's their song. He said, I wrote it for them. That's just huge.
All for you, all for you, all for you, all for you is freedom.
Luc, that was for you, buddy.
And I felt the whole moment right there from this intimate song that we had created in a shelter with these kids in a desperate moment after losing their homes to the water and the hurricane of Katrina. And then now, like 5 to 6 years later, this song is now being sung by boys who've been freed from slavery, and it's an emancipation song. It's like grown into like freedom. And I felt this feeling of like it just being this thing way beyond, you know, it's the world song now. It's the, you know, the freedom song. And that was one of the top spiritual moments still that I've had with music and in my life. And I always thought it was like the unthinkable, like that, to be able to touch somebody with a song, like, because the way that music touched me when I was a kid was the most sacred thing, like a song that would really take you there. And to think that I could ever be about a part of a song that takes someone towards that freedom or that ecstasy that does something for them deeply. And yeah, so that's a little about the freedom song. And it kind of, that has kept going, that the story of the freedom song is continued on. And Jason and I have made a great friendship, and he's become a part of a lot of the stuff with the Goodness Tour that we've done, and we've become a part of a lot of the incredible things that he does.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce the first band, the band we've been on the road with for a couple of days now. One of my favorite bands. They drove all the way out from Seattle, Washington. So when you support this band, you're helping to put gas directly into their vehicle to keep their wheels rolling. I think they're one of the most heart-centered bands that's out there right now. Please give it up. A lot of love for Luc and the Lovingtons. Give it up for Luc and the Lovingtons. Luc and the Lovingtons. Luc and the Lovingtons. Luc and the Lovingtons. Ow! Give it up for Jason Mraz.
And
so, you know, from there, I mean, part of me, I kind of want to just sit here in silence for like 15 minutes and like just feel the weight and the capacity of the impact of everything that you just shared. That would not be interesting to watch. So we'll move on to continue. I would encourage anybody who hearing this, maybe just hit pause for a moment and really sit into what that means, of what that was. And I do want to just reflect one thing about this, which I'm sure that you know for yourself, but maybe, again, I just don't want to step over, is that there's so much in our society, in our culture, that teaches us of what success is in terms of fame or celebrity or money or likes or those sorts of metrics. And a lot of times that's a motivating factor. And it's not that the people who are focused on that don't also want to have an impact or don't also want to do something good, but then they get a little bit distorted in terms of which one's leading which. And what I hear from you, from the moment you said, yes, I have to go to Katrina, when you picked up your guitar, when you played over the loudspeaker, when you said yes to Jason Mraz to use your song, what I didn't hear, this wasn't about, and I signed a deal with him and I got these writing credits or whatever it may be, to when you donated the song again to this CD. What happened was all of those things that people strive for. You had your song recorded and continues to be shared around the world by a world-renowned Grammy, I think, winning musician. Who knows how many people have heard that? The guy has sold millions and millions of records. Your song became the anthem for slave children in Ghana. What? I mean, I'm filled with goosebumps thinking about that. If you were to be told before you started playing music, you know what, one day you're going to write a song and 25 boys in Ghana who have been enslaved are going to sing it, and it's going to be their anthem, you would have said, man, that would be amazing. That would be enough, probably. I'm going to assume you would have thought, what an accomplishment that would be. And this one song, from all of these steps, ended up having all of the other success metrics. But at not one single time of its evolution was that a motivating factor. It was a byproduct. It was a reflection from your true intention. And, you know, the beauty of that shows that you don't have to choose one or the other. You don't have to forego commercial success or financial abundance or any of those sorts of things to have an impact and to serve.
Yeah.
But which one is going to be the driving force? And it's just amazing, man. You know, I've heard this story before, but I could listen to it every day. I'm so inspired by so many aspects of this. And it's not oh man, I wonder if something that I do could be world renowned. It's, wow, if I just focus on sharing myself and not being afraid,
Yeah.
because I know that whatever I have to give can help somebody, who knows how far that impact can go. And you know, if your story and our conversation were to end right now, it would be, whoa, that's amazing. That's an incredible story. I've gotten so much from this story. I don't need anything more. I'm charged up. But it doesn't end there, does it?
No.
So now, and you mentioned, you dropped it as perfect, the segue.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Goodness Tour. So let's open up that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really the beginning. The Freedom Song was the beginning when I realized that I could join my two passions of music and service into one. And music service. And then my great friend Benjamin Suarez, a painter, also taking that same journey in a wild way. We have these incredible parallels through his art as a painter and serving through his art. And then you have all the Lovingtons and Jeremiah Alexis, a filmmaker, and we all came together. And you know, I had this moment again where it came up, and some of it was instigated from going real deep, but my other great friend Felipe Cañete, who was a founder of the band Luc and the Lovingtons, along, you know, with the rest of the group, and is like an angelic friend to me. He passed on. He in 2013 he made his transition. I say transcended. You know, people use the word died. I use the word transcended because it reflects more of a truth of what I feel, because I don't talk about him as a was. I feel Felipe as an is. Even as I talk about him, I feel him as an is. I could almost feel him laughing if I talk to him about him as a was.
Like, hey, I'm right here, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, it's unexplainable, but I felt a connection with him even after he passed beyond his body. And that was a very deep, intense time I spent, you know, with Felipe. I had spent the last 8 years, like probably more time than you spend with a partner. So it was like, we're just flying along here. We're doing music together. And Felipe was there through all the exciting new development with the Jason Mraz connection. And we actually ended up going on tour with Jason Mraz. We did a national tour, and our first show was for 35,000 people. And boom, like going from probably like 500 people. And still, all of this is through this unexpected song that was just born from service, from following what's the best way to serve. And we got to do this incredible tour with him, and Felipe just rocked it. Felipe would do Spanish hip hop. Felipe's from Chile. And so he would bring his flavor and dance and all that, and just percussion and sing backups with me.